Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 20 for the week of April 28th, 2014. Before we get started, the Lyceum is an official supporter of Dark Sun's next gig, which is happening next Saturday, May 9th at the Valve Bar. $15 are going to be a bunch of rock and metal type of bands playing. The full lineup is iMaze, Triangle, Ocean of Eris, and Vayu. They're all linked down there so you can check them out, see if you like them, head to the gig. And if you're a band in those aforementioned genres, get in touch with Dark Sun Entertainment, see if you can book with them, get onto their gigs. And it never hurts to know a booker or a promoter. Well, most bookers and promoters. AJ Matter! Starting off with launches on Thursday, the first is going to be an alternative indie rock single launch at Frankie's Pizza by the Slice in Sydney with Adulthood. Then an alternative country single launch at the Loft Bar in Ultimo, part of University of Technology Sydney. It's only $8 with Jep and Depp. And lastly on Thursday, a folk electronica album launch at Venue 505 in Surrey Hills. It's $11 with Caitlin Park. Then on to Friday, there's an indie rock single launch that's happening at Brighton Up Bar in Darlinghurst for $10 with The Upskirts. And I believe the band encourages camera phones. And lastly on Friday, a rock 12-inch launch because everyone just wants more than 7 inches. And that's at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney in the main room. It's $25 with The Ape. And on Sunday the 4th, there will be a folk singer-songwriter album launch at the Camelot Lounge in Marrickville in the Django Bar. It's $23 with Kavisha Mazzella. A whole heap of special gigs happening this week. Starting on Wednesday the 30th, there's going to be a roots rock fundraiser for saving the Laird State Forest. That's happening at the Basement in Circular Quay for $10. Also on Wednesday, there'll be a film premiere called Passing Through. It's a bodyboarding film. And it'll be happening with a live soundtrack with members from all different bands. That's happening at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney, and it's $15. Then on Thursday the 1st, there's going to be a celebratory book launch for Jack Mannix's Precious Metals. And they'll be with a bunch of different bands, electronica, punk, pop, rock, happening at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney in the main room, and it's $10. Then on Friday the 2nd, there'll be a mix of bands like jazz, electronica, alternative. They'll be playing to live visuals from a projector of a bunch of compiled footage from each of the bands. And the projector will also be run by a bicycle that random members of the audience can jump on to power the projector. Seems like a good idea, and hopefully people are actually bothered to jump on the bike and do a bit of work to have the projector running. And that's happening at the King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross FBI Social, and it's $5. Then on Saturday the 3rd, there's going to be a product launch. I'm pretty sure it's clothing. They're called the Streetwear label. I assume that's clothing because I couldn't find any other information on them. They'll be launching that line with hip-hop and rap bands, and it's happening at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney in the Gallery Bar. And on Sunday the 4th, there'll be a indie folk fundraiser for the Tomorrow Foundation. They do work for mainly children, locally and globally. This particular gig will be a fundraiser for the Peace Island Children's Centre in Uganda. And that's $18 at the Brass Monkey in Cronulla. And lastly, for the special gigs on Sunday, a May the 4th Be With You gig where people can dress up as Star Wars characters is $15, $10 if you're dressed up, to watch a whole heap of metal bands at the Valve Bar, Sydney. A couple of news pieces this week. Starting off, there is a new music TV show of interviewing bands and things like that. It is hosted by Carl Stefanovic. It will be on Channel 9's other channel called Go. It premiered on Saturday at 4 PM, though since I'm recording this on Friday, it hasn't happened yet, but for all of you watching this, it's already happened. And the first episode was kicking off with interviews with a UK girl group called Little Mix and the Aussie band Kings of Leon. It's difficult to tell which direction the show will go in and whether it will have a role to play in helping to bolster, recognition for local bands. The fact that the first episode is airing with an interview with Kings of Leon and UK group Little Mix, maybe it's not going to be that beneficial for local bands, and also it is Channel 9. Just saying. Seeing little things of Carl Stefanovic's Twitter or just images that pop up on the internet, he seems to have a love of music, even whether it's local or if it's global. If he enjoys the music, then he's into it. But I don't know whether that means that he'll be making demands to interview local bands, or if he'll just be interviewing whoever Channel 9 tells him to. You can see the trailer on their YouTube channel. They did have one of the interviews up with Kings of Leon, but that got quickly taken down since the episode hasn't aired yet. So it might be working that once the show airs, the actual interview will be put up on their YouTube channel to watch for free. The show will be a 30-minute program and called Hargrave Lane. So we'll see how the show goes, if it progresses in design that's kind of beneficial for the scene, because the last music show that was on was The Studio at the Memo that was hosted by Tim Rogers, but that only had a short run and was only on the Foxtel channels. More as a way to see that if it garners enough attention, it can keep going. But at least with Channel 9, they'll keep funding the program until it just dies. And last bit of news, the Austin City Limits Music Festival over in Austin, Texas, in America. They've announced their lineup with a handful of Aussie bands included in the mix. Those Aussie acts include Iggy Azalea, The Preachers, Jaguar Ma, and Falls. If you don't know who any of those bands are, then just click the article link and we've linked the bands so you can check them out. They're mainly bands that have been regular on the American festival circuit, which is good, just gets more notoriety, and them being asked to play places is even better. Promoting Aussie music. But not to get all lovey-dovey on overseas music festivals, because Splendour in the Grass also released their lineup. As usual, just a ton of Australian bands next to really big headliners. It's really way too big to list all the Australian bands that are happening at Splendour, so if you just go to their website, check out their list of bands, check out ones that seem like they might be interesting. Because if they're popular enough to play at a mainstream music festival, they must be good enough for your ears. And lastly, band of the week for this week, a folk indie kind of group called Elsto. They're very self-proclaimed lovers of the 60s psychedelia folk kind of stuff, and they incorporate that into their music. They haven't got much music up, mainly one demo and one actual song, which I'll be playing at the end of this video, so stick around to hear a bit of that. But I will be interested to hear the rest of their recordings, see what they sound like, if their music really shifts, or if they stay around the same kind of ideas. But to get a better idea of that, you can just go see them live, because they're playing on Friday, $2 at the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney in the Gallery Bar. And they'll be playing with a heap of other bands, mixtures of pop and rock. So if you like what you hear at the end of this video, just click their link down there, go like them, go check them out on Friday. That is everything from me, so like us, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep track of us, if you want to keep track of all the other launches and news that comes out, just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all the different kinds of social media. All of the bands having launches for this week have been put into a playlist and is up on our website, or you can just go to mixcloud.com/the Lyceum and listen to it. Give you a better idea of what the bands sound like if you want to support their release, if you want to go and see them live. And all of the events and bands that we talked about, including the special gigs, are all linked down there, so just click them, go and check them out, see more details if you're interested in going. I will see you next week with another update of all of the launches and news. Go to our website and check out our gig guide, because it is already up. And until next week, be good.